What's going on, everybody? BobbyFi back with my man Eric Sheets-Haber. We are bringing you the PGA show for this week. We have a playoff, a nice little tight 70 players, not so many guys to choose from today. Sheets, what are your sort of initial thoughts? It seems like a kind of a fun week with a lot of strategy. That's sort of my thing. What do you think about this week?
So, first of all, with the no cut weeks. So when the last time we had a no cut tournament, I did a lot of homework on this and listened to a lot of people. And apparently the main way that you were supposed to do this was to keep kind of stars and scrubs, right? So the guys that were having bad weeks, the bad couple of days can make that up, and that's usually where you're supposed to play. And the other thing that's interesting is they made it it's a short field, right?
Right.
So what I'm finding, and then maybe it's a weird math thing, is that these $6,500 guys are being projected as really, really strong point per dollar plays. And the reason why that is, I think, is because, quite honestly, it doesn't take as much to get into like a top 20 position, right? And there's less guys that you have to pass, I suppose, to pay off your salary from a place differential perspective, I guess. You know what I mean? Like when I just kind of run through this, I just see that there's a lot of like these sub 7K guys that are just going to be good kind of like projection plays, which to me also means that some of the ownership projections on some of these guys might be a little low, because I really do think that when people run crunches and run optimizers and whatever it is, they might end up getting more of these guys than they thought they were going to get. And I think the ownership is going to be a little higher on these guys, which might mean that you might even want to be more middling. so it's I think it's a very intriguing math-oriented slate. From a golf perspective, from a course fit perspective, you want to be long. It's just kind of like a normal type of course. There's not like a lot of tricks to it. You want to take kind of the best golfers, and hopefully you put the right combination together, and hopefully construct well.
That's not what I actually thought you were going to start with other things. Like the motivation, isn't that the big thing here? Like they need to advance, and certain guys need to finish in certain positions. Other guys really doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about those guys.
So you've got guys like Streelman who would have to come in like the top 10 probably, or maybe top 5 even. I think Adam Long fits that category. I don't have the list actually.
Okay, so this is really amazing. I want to show you something, right? I want to hold on. I'm going to share my screen, because it's so. I swear to you, we haven't spoken about this slate at all, and I want to bring this thing in. I don't want to get into all of what this is, but what this does, after all my shit, is it ranks like all these guys. And 2 of the top 3 guys I list were Streelman and Long.
Yeah.
Not even knowing any of that, what you just said about the motivation to do whatever. And that's really kind of scary to me.
Projections actually like him too. And the one thing that doesn't like him, it seems to be at least the projection of the people don't seem to like him. So that all sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
So the guys who really have that motivation, those would be a couple of them. Like you don't have the same motivation from DJ, but like when he's on, he's just better than everybody else. It seems like you don't have the same motivation for really any of those top guys quite as much. I could make an argument that Rory has more motivation than the other guys, because he hasn't found his game in a long time.
Nope.
And he's been. What's weird is that you've a couple of these weeks where he was, ended up making the cut, and he ended up still near the bottom of the made cut players. He actually had made more birdies than most players ahead of him, almost everybody ahead of him, in fact, in some of those tournaments. He just seems to be making a bad shot here and there. His iron play has been spotty, which is really unlike him. His putting has been bad. So I'm willing to just go back to a guy like him, but I'm just sort of throwing out a few things that occurred to me, like somebody who really needs to try and find their game quickly. And I feel like Rory's not that as far off as it seems like. I don't know. That's just my personal take. And the other guy who would fit that category, needing to find his game and showing a few signs but not quite enough, it would be Tiger. Shocker, former top players in the world. So those are some guys who I was just thinking about. But let's go through each tier and sort of see which guys you like the best. And I'm sort of I think that you have a better feel for this week maybe than I do. I'm trying to still get it down.
Yeah. So okay. So it's funny. So at the top, I think that the projection systems I look at and everything else kind of takes into account a lot of things you just said, because really all these guys are just like looking like shitty plays. You know what I mean? Now just on a straight like projection point per dollar basis. The thing is though that you're gonna have to get raw points from somewhere. So
yeah, of course.
So you are gonna have to play some, if not these guys, at least people close. So let me just rank for you like what I like the most out of this, I guess, top group. I actually liked Rahm a little bit the best, but his ownership is probably going to be the highest of them all, I suppose. Rory still seems to get ownership, even though he hasn't done anything like a long time. I put him second, and then JT behind them, and then DeChambeau and Johnson below them. Now, talking about motivation, I have this weird feeling that DeChambeau is like really pissed off that he missed the cut. He might be looking to do something. He might be looking to put a number up this week. So he's, from a motivation perspective, he's probably a lot madder than a lot of these other guys. Let's put it that way. So I might move him up my list just based on that. So that would be the way I would rank him. I'd rank him Rahm, then Rory, then JT, then DeChambeau, then DJ.
Yeah, I have the most ownership of Rory right now, but honestly, like there is a little bit of a price gap here, and I sort of have a build that I like some build that I like that with a Rory Xander build, which I know is a different tier, but it's important because I think that it's easier to get those two guys in than it is to get the very top guys in. So, I also like potentially a Rory with a Morikawa or one of these guys down in the next tier. So that's sort of what I was thinking about. I really like a Rahm also. I think that it would be Rory then Rahm for me. And I still think Rory ends up, every tournament so far, he's been projected to be higher owned than he actually has been. So I'm going to keep assuming that happens. And then I would put Bryce third. I think the safer play would be DJ than these guys. I'm sorry, that would be JT over these guys, all of them. But I sort of like, I don't know what you call the upside. It's kind of weird to say that for golf, but because JT can be as good as anybody. But I guess I just sort of have him a little bit less below these guys because I need to have less interest in. And I initially was going to just go ahead and say go with it with DJ when he's hot, but I might just fade him this week.
Yeah, I think I'm going to.
So that's sort of where I'm at. But I do like this next this next tier.
Yeah, so this next tier, I mean, starting right. Well, it's interesting. So I actually liked Xander a lot up at the top of this tier. And then like a lot of these 9K guys, I mean, when I say 9K, you know what I mean? Like, well, everything with the 9 in front of them. There are only a couple, so I shouldn't even say. I'm not a big fan of Berger in this one. I mean, I wasn't going to get to Morikawa. I could be talked into it, I suppose. But the guys I like are, I do like, again, Patrick Reed. God knows why, but I like him.
You always do.
Yeah, I always do. And Hideki, I always like him.
He's my favorite play on the slate, just so you know.
He might be my favorite play on the slate, too, actually.
Yeah.
And Harris English, we're down to these guys, too. Yeah, so Harris English, I like him, too. Hovland. Cantlay, I think, is okay also. That's pretty much that's my order, I guess.
Yeah, I like Berger. This guy, I mean, I hate because I think he might end up being the highest owned player in the tournament. But if you look at it, he's basically earned that. He's been the best player in golf, and really, it's not since close, not that close. I'm just going to read you off. These are his tournaments this year, starting in January. 29th, 9th, 5th, 4th, 1st, 3rd, cut, 2nd, 13th, 3rd.
Jesus.
What are we talking about here? This guy is just, I mean, a ringer over here. So I just can't leave him off anymore. I just have seen it's too often. I just feel like, what am I fading this guy for? So he's the guy I probably have I actually have him beneath Schauffele, but I think I might change that. It was really more of an ownership thing because Berger's just been a lock. You know, I'm just going to keep rolling with it, even at high ownership. No interest in Jason Day at all. I do like Scotty Scheffler a little bit. So Scotty Scheffler and Morikawa, the problem is I can't play everybody. So I'm sort of deciding between these guys, and I think that you just end up going with Morikawa. But Scheffler, I mean, this guy's made the turn, man. Like, he might have just converted himself into being one of the top players. And his first year on tour has been pretty good after winning the Corn Ferry Player last year. Like, I just feel like maybe he's the young guy we don't really talk that much about. The problem is he'll also have some ownership. So maybe what you can do is you can switch over to Patrick Cantlay at lower ownership. I think he's a little bit of a, he's not going to be way lower owned, but he will have lower ownership than Scheffler and the other guys in that range. So I sort of like Cantlay as a little bit of a contrarian. I'm not going to play Patrick Reed just because I need to fade somebody. And I'm just bitter for all the stuff he did to me.
Don't
the other
blame
guy
you.
I'm not going to play at all, who my friend is in love with in this tournament, I hate him, is Finau.
Finau's going to be, he's getting some.
He gets some ownership, but some of the people I know who like golf, like, they're like, oh, you got to play Finau. I'm like, look, win a tournament. I don't need to play anybody who doesn't ever win a tournament. And also, this is, unless he's on like strictly just Bermuda in general, like I don't generally want to play him. I know he always grades out to be better, but I'm going to let it actually happen before I keep playing him at high ownership every week. Matsuyama, once we get down, it gets interesting. That 8-5 and above, like I like Matsuyama so much better than everybody else in that tier. But I don't mind if you want to mix in a little Tiger with Matsuyama lineup. I think Tiger's closer than people think he is.
I like Tiger, man. I like him this week a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I think he's actually better. Like he's playing better than it looks like. It's just a little shot, a little bit here and there. And these other guys behind it. By the way, what a legend Kevin Kisner is. They interviewed him going in on Sunday, and he's like, yeah, well, we all know we're playing for second. When DJ's like this, he's like, there's only 3 players in the world who can get like this. And so when DJ's like this, you're playing for second, and that's fine. I'll just try and boost up my what do you say? Not my bankroll, my bank account. And that's what I'm going to do.
Did he get second?
He got third, I think, but still, It was pretty cool. Like, just I think he tied for fourth, whatever it was.
Right.
But I thought that was kind of funny. He's just a cool guy. But aside from being a cool guy, probably a decent play. But I would prefer to go to Tyrrell Hatton and Harris English over both those guys.
Yeah. So again, I mentioned I did like Tiger a little bit. English is one of the best players right now, I think.
He's been incredible. He really has. I agree, and you were on it earlier a little bit than I was, but I definitely got on it, and so did my other buddy who I talk golf with a lot, and it's paid off. I think he's a really solid one. The problem is, though, if you ask me overall who's a better golfer, like I guess he's been better, but I mean we haven't seen much of this guy for a while. He's only played 2 tournaments in the last 8-9 months. Adam Scott is a great golfer.
Well, Adam Scott's a legend. Are you kidding me? Like he's like.
Yeah, but he's going to be low owned here, and would I rather?
I have him at like 15%. So
okay, well I feel like the English is going to be about 20, and I feel like Hatton's going to be about 15%.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Right in that range too. I actually think Matsuyama will be the lowest, but I think Adam Scott. People will probably come on to him later in the week, don't you? I think they will. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I actually like Adam Scott though. I mean, it is later in the week, I guess already, but I think that he's the one I like the best. But it's really close, man. I like all those guys. Him and English would be my favorite too in that range, but behind Matsuyama, obviously. But
who else can be real? Who else can be really chalky? Probably for good reason. Hovland at 8,100.
Yeah, he's a great price. Obviously, you want to try and get over the field here, and the thing is, like, and then I have to, because of all this, I might have to fade Matt Wolff, my favorite guy, my guy who I play every week, who I'm convinced is always on the verge of like breaking a course record. I think that you just have to have some guys fall by the wayside, and sadly, he and Paul Casey, as really good plays, you can't play everybody.
Well, what do you think about? Again, I'm like looking at guys that are like similarly, priced that might have like half the ownership, whatever. Instead of like Hovland, would you like Fitzpatrick at all?
I think he's interesting. Yeah, I actually like that idea because he's so consistent. I mean, I know he struggled, last week, although he ended up almost making a comeback after going 6 over on day one. He got himself to a chance to birdie out, but he doesn't like rate like insane on this course, but he's a consistent golfer that's too cheap. But I mean, if I'm going to play him, I'd probably rather play Henley or Woodland. Henley's been awesome, by the way.
Yeah, I have a Woodland lineup somewhere.
This would be the first week I'll probably fade Henley because of ownership. Every other week he's been completely unowned, and now for whatever reason everybody's all over him. Well, probably because he's been just awesome. But yeah, I think I'll leave him out this week, and I'll have a little bit of Woodland, and The thing is, like, you know, is it interesting that Answer, if we did the same tournament last week, would have been 40% owned, maybe even 50?
Hey, that's how much I had of him.
No, I mean, he was 35% in the big one last week. I mean, yeah, you know, he would be this week. He would be even more because it's only 70 players. What are the odds of him not? You know, he's 7,700. He's a bargain. So maybe if you want to take that route and you can get the lower ownership, but it's, you know, all these guys are really good in this range. I don't really have a huge difference between Ryan Palmer, Gary Woodland, Henley, and I just feel like they're all close, and I'm just mildly interested in all of them, but I'm probably not going to be playing much of any of them.
Okay. Like if you go down a little more, you can get to my two kind of guys that I have, I guess, like the most in this type of range, and that's going to be, and just for me, I think I'm kind of over Sanjay M. I just don't know if I can do it anymore. I just don't know if I can do it. But I am going to go back to is Corey Connors again at 7,200. And guy I don't like to play that much, but I'm getting to a little bit of Kuchar this week.
A little bit of, I'm sorry, who did you say?
I'm getting to a little bit of Kuchar this week.
I sort of on the same path a little bit with you there. I mean, I'll point out that 2 tournaments ago, Im did finish 9th, you know, at a event. So just to throw that out there. It's not that he's all been bad, but I sort of been with you a little bit on the Im fade. He's not going to be owned anyway, but yeah, when I move down in this range, I'm not like overwhelmingly thrilled with anybody. I like, I'm going to keep playing Brendan Todd. I understand the courses are not perfect for him. He's just been really, really consistently good. And I'm just going to keep playing him. And he's cheap. That's basically not a whole lot of incredible analysis, but that is my analysis on him. Cam Champ stands out a little bit. Kokrak, people are going to be on him. I'll fade that, I guess. I think Kuchar and Cam Champ are the preferred guys for me in this range. Until we get down to maybe a guy like either sort of debating between Corey Connors and Neiman. I think I would give the edge to Neiman there. That's the guy I'm going to play in that range.
Okay, so let's get to the crux of this because you're the man. You're with the Cam Davis call last week. So which are gonna be your favorites of the 7Ks? Because I got seven guys kind of near the top of my list. I already mentioned my favorite, Kevin Streelman. But who's your? Give me some dudes.
Streelman is my number one, actually.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, Streelman and I actually have a lot of Adam Long too. But
wow,
I think Taylor Gooch and Brendan Steele are probably the best safe plays in this range.
Okay,
safe-ish plays in this range. I like Brian Harmon, Benny On, and Lanto Griffin all. I'm trying to decide between those guys at the same price range. If you're going to play a guy like On, the thing that I love about this guy is like with no cut involved, you're just going to get like a good score. You know what I mean? The guy's going to put up one crazy round, or he's going to make a few eagles, or he's going to make a ton of birdies. He's going to make some triples and doubles, but who cares? You're going to get a good score out of this guy. If he shoots 7 under, it's going to be better than the guy who shoots 10 under, I think, very likely. And it just because of the fluctuations in his game. And that's partly why I like him. Brian Harmon is more just like a guy who's always sort of, he's just always, he's put up a lot of good rounds lately. He's played better than the price hasn't caught up with him. I feel like playing him has been a really, solid move all the way. So I'm playing some of them. I'm not going crazy with it. But all 3 of these guys grade out to be pretty solid plays, and none of them are going to be very high owned. So I'll probably have, 15% of each of them or something like that. The one other guy, just because it's almost like I just feel like I have to play him when no one plays him, and no one really ever plays him, I guess. JT Poston, he'll be the lowest owned in this range, and has been solid enough to where you could argue him, but I think you'd rather play Streelman for sure, obviously, and Fratelli. Okay,
here it is. Look at this. 1, 2, 3. Streelman, Poston, Long. My top three on the board.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So how many lineups you think you're playing this week?
What's that?
How many lineups you think you're playing this week?
40 in the big one probably, and then like maybe a couple others.
So let me ask you. So when you're going to script or whatever for 40 lineups or whatever, do you ever put in like max lineup ownership or something like that, or do you just kind of just do it by feel and just kind of
for a player?
Yeah.
I always put a max. I've never not put in a max.
So you put a max ownership like when they optimize for you. Like
Yeah.
what do you use your max? Like 75%?
No, what do you mean? For like my most owned player?
No. I mean for like an overall projected ownership of your lineup.
Oh, no. I don't do that.
Okay.
I'm confused. Because they have the min and max. I'm trying to understand what the question is. So
No. What I'm saying is, how do you make sure that you're not too chalky?
I just go through it.
Okay, because what a lot of people do, honestly,
40 lineups are really easy to go through. In golf,
because what I mean, because what a lot of people do is they'll put like whatever optimizer you use, they have ownerships in there, or you could upload your own, and then you could do is you could set it to don't give me any lineups where the max ownership is more than 100% or something.
I think those things are great in general. I think golf is like one game where you could literally hand build like 1,000 lineups, no problem. And it wouldn't be that hard at all. It wouldn't take like hardly any consideration because there's almost nothing to consider in terms of variables.
Okay.
Key times.
But even still, like when you're doing them by hand, I mean, you like remember in your head, which of the guys are going to be low owned that you're putting in and stuff.
I tend to go through every lineup and make sure I've got, especially in like those things, and then just make sure I try and have, if I have anybody at 20%, or a couple guys at 20%, I would want to have at least two guys less than 10%. If I know that I really like guys less than 10%, I just always try to make sure, and it depends, like the week. This is a week where you don't need to you can play more chalky because there's only 70 guys.
Okay.
At the same time, these guys are not all that different than the guys who are going to be 5% owned. So I would encourage people to actually try not to be chalky this week, but you're going to end up accidentally being in at least a few spots. I don't know. I don't know if that really answers the question. I don't think it does, but I don't like the getting too detailed into the script. I'd rather use my brain for the final part of it. Other people are.
I'm not even saying detail. I mean, you can just remember, like all the ownerships in your head. Because I forget who's. I mean, honestly, yeah. I forget who's highly owned. I mean, like
I don't have any problem. That part I feel like pretty good about. But I also feel like I just double check, as I'm going through my lineups. If it's my big buy-ins, I really go through them and make sure that I'm getting the right ownerships that I want. In terms of the field. But the long shot ones, you really want to try and play for the long shot. So I try to get two really low on guys. If you can get two guys at 5% or 10%, or less than 10 is great. Less than 5 is ideal.
Hey, can I ask you a question? So, did they have is there purse money in this tournament?
There's I can't remember what it is.
I mean, the only reason I ask,
it's the playoff. No, because it's for next week. But I can't. But there's got to be something for the first. I'm sure there is. I know there is.
But is there anything to prevent, say, like for example, Dustin Johnson from shooting an 80 and not showing up for day 2?
I think that's first of all. I think we should think that's in the cards no matter what. Even if it doesn't, I don't think it matters whether there's a thing or not. You know what I mean? Sort of like.
Well, I mean, but if it costs you a spot in the next day, it matters. That's what I'm saying. Like if it costs you a spot in next week.
No, he can't not make next week.
He cannot, even if he doesn't finish the round.
No, he can skip. The top like 9 guys can't miss, or I don't think he missed next week, or 8 guys maybe it is. I
mean, because honestly, if these guys do have like a really, really shitty first round, it's probably optimal for them not to play. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
No, and also because of the ownership, it's a good argument for the fade, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think that's where you get the Rory, maybe you could even say JT, although he's actually been playing pretty well. But basically any of those top guys who didn't just win a tournament, which is just not Dustin Johnson, you could argue that they all need to keep working on their game too,
I mean, because Webb dropped out.
Yeah, but Rory, he doesn't need to work on his game. He's won a tournament in the last 7 tournaments. You know what I mean? Rory does. Rory needs to find that game. I mean, this is what they're playing for. You know what I mean? This would be the ultimate get ready time. So a guy like DJ, I think you could see something like that. But most likely, I think you're going to see players trying to find their game. And Rory and Tiger Woods feel like 2 of those guys to me. So those are guys who will be in some of my lineups. And you know what? It's not just a sentimental thing that I like both of them. I think that they really are solid plays, especially Rory. But I think Tiger's actually. I just think he's going to be higher owned than people think because he's a better play than you might think. Not than people might think.
Well, I'm stoked, man. I'm always. I can't believe I didn't play at all before. I mean, I'm really psyched for golf every week. I just have. Last week we didn't review our lineups or anything like that. But last week I played like no, it's fine. I played like 15. What I played 15 lineups. I did get one in 6 for 6. So I hope to do better as far as that goes. Well, actually, there's no cut this week, so I'm alive all 4 days. This probably cost them the like DraftKings and FanDuel probably cost them some showdown revenues, right? Because a lot of people, what they do is if they're dead after the day one, then they make sure they play day 2, 3, and 4. But yeah, everybody talk themselves into being alive all weekend.
I mean, I think they've got a pretty good revenue stream with every sport going on in the world right now. So I think they're doing okay. But you did just bring up kind of an interesting point, though, which sort of just escaped me as I made that joke. It's interesting with the golf because it is the most like fun. Like I did well last week, but this is what it was. So I had a top 200 lineup in the million thing or whatever with a miscut on my thing. And it wasn't like the nuts, but it was a very tough combination. It was, our guys, Cam Davis, Russell Henley, who ended up tied for 4th, who was unowned, and DJ and whatever. So it just goes to show you, like, you can win. In my single entry tournament, there was a guy who I think finished like 4th or 5th in a giant single entry.
Right, you told me that.
So you can don't give up. Like, you know what I mean? Well, there's no miscuts this week, but in general, like, it's always fun. That's what I like about the golf. It's like you've sort of always got to sweat, especially like these weeks. Like you can't really be completely out of it on day one, can you? Unless somebody shoots like a 9 over. But even then, you might get a 9 under the next day, the way things are going these days. Anyway. All right, Sheets. Well, we're going to jump over. I'm going to jump over. You're going to do the live show with me today?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to do it. I got our other video loading right now. We're going to get this one loaded. Any hot take? Oh, wait, we both got to say who's going to win the tournament and do our thing real quick.
Well, it's yeah, okay. So, I know who's going to win the tournament. That's easy.
Matsuyama, right?
No, it's not going to be Matsuyama. That's too easy. Actually, that's not too. Yeah, you know what? You're right. It is going to be Matsuyama. I'll let you take Matsuyama. He's definitely going to win.
Okay, he's my guy.
Yeah, that's going to win. But the other guy that's going to win, it's going to be Tiger.
I love it. All right, Matsuyama, Tiger stacks. Let's go. I'm into it.
And again, I'll just reiterate, the stars lined up way too easily for me not to be all over Streelman, Poston, and Adam Long. Like if two of us two, out of 80 freaking players, never having spoken about the slate, came up with pretty much the same sub 6,500 guys, and it's not like either of them are like going to be like 15% owned. You know what I mean?
Streelman will be have some ownership, but like almost. But the other guys are like 1%er, like 1, 2, 3, 4%ers, like kind of.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let's just say I'm gonna have too much of them.
Let's do it, man. Hey, that's what I decided to do last week with Cam Davis, and it worked out. It almost really worked out, by the way. He didn't keep it up action for one more day, and we're in pretty good shape. All right, man.
Sounds good, man.
All right, we'll get out of here. For Sheets, I'm Bobby saying we will see you at the top of the leaderboard this weekend. Good luck out there, everybody.